Background, and here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take us to my blog where I have a recent video blog post that I made regarding the use of videos in your class. And I call it Why Flip Your Class. Probably the number one question I always get asked by people now is, how do I begin? What do I do first? And my answer is you got to know how to make videos, because what you're essentially doing is taking the lecture part out of class and putting it either before class or making it happen simultaneously one-on-one with students. So this was kind of like a little video to help explain that theory. Let's see if it plays okay. Go volume up here. Hi, it's Rob Z of robztraining.com, and on today's video blog post, I figured I'd address one of the common questions that lately I've been getting asked a lot, both in person and through email, which is, why should you flip your class? There's all this buzz about the flipped classroom. After I hit the why, usually the next question is, well, how? How do you flip it? So I'm going to create in this video blog post the answers behind that. First off, why? I think it's because what I call the 3 E's. Effective, efficient, and engaging. All right, I'll take each one of those one by one. Number one, effective. I can have kids that are absent and then come in the next day and still know what's going on because of these screencast videos that I've made. As you'll see in these video clips I'm going to show you here, my students I'm fortunate to have desktop computers in my classroom, but even if I didn't and I had mobile devices, they would still be able to use these videos and watch whenever they're absent or outside of school or during a study hall or during the bus ride home, whenever, wherever, they can watch videos of me teaching. So no longer is it the traditional Rob Z blabbing in front of the class to 20-some kids, ages 10 to 13. That can be challenging, as those of you that are veteran teachers also know, to have everybody's attention all at once. So I think the videos are effective because now the child has to either play, pause, or rewind the video, take notes during that. So there's really no time to be a passive learner. You have to be an active learner. How about efficiency? Well, saving time. The traditional way of me teaching these triangle videos, which you saw a moment ago there, would be about 3 to 4 class periods. Now I do it in 1 to 2, maybe even 1.5 class periods. And the reason why is the students are engaged by watching with the headphones me go through the process. Now in this example I'm showing you, there are 6 different types of triangles that I teach. This way, the children next to one another are not necessarily even watching the same video. So this allows for true differentiation. One student might be learning about acute triangles, another one's learning about the equilateral triangle. And so what I really like about that is it gives the kids the ability to start where they left off, whether that is, cover 2 or 3 of them in the class period, or cover just 1 or 2. All right, so the other piece again is engaging. I don't know how much more engaging you could be on a... All right, so I'm going to stop it there. So you got the idea of seeing the kids who are watching videos. Those videos are hearing my voice, watching my hands draw. So it's not robotic for the kids. It's a psychological thing because they still feel like they're learning from their teacher because they hear my voice talking. It's just they're in control of the pace of that. They can fast forward, pause, and rewind. In fact, today when I'm here and they're back in Amherst, New York, they're taking a quiz today on the triangle types, and they do have access still to those videos that you just saw. So if they're trying to think, okay, what was it again? A squared plus B squared is C squared. How do you figure out that triangle piece again? They can go into Edmodo, find the videos I've recorded, and watch that. It's kind of a refresher. The numbers are different, so it's not like they're just getting the answer from the video, but they're watching the procedure happen in the video. Then they can go to their worksheet and then try the procedure with their numbers. So that's really been helpful for kids that are absent, that are sick, that are in music lessons, but even a day like today where I'm not in the classroom and I can still make productivity happen. So I've kind of digitally multiplied myself. Since they won't give me 25 teaching assistants in the room, this is the next best thing from what I can do. As long as you have access to computer devices, be it traditional desktops, laptops, or mobile devices. Fortunately now with the price of Chromebooks and tablets coming down, that's becoming more and more feasible. So let's go to the next piece of it now, which is my journey into the flipped classroom. It happened kind of what I would call a non-traditional way. It wasn't a district mandate. It wasn't something that I learned in a college class. It comes down to jury duty. I'll go back to it here and go to present. Okay, so I received in the mail a jury duty notice, and I myself had never had jury duty my entire life, from the age of 18 on when you can be eligible for it. So I think I was 34 at the time. I'm 36 now, so it was 2 years ago. And it wasn't just regular old jury duty, but it was grand jury duty, which in Erie County means it's a 4-week commitment, and it's 3 days a week, and it's different days within that week. So talk about, you know, wanting to keep continuity in the classroom and not even knowing which days you're going to be there or not there just made it very frustrating and hectic. So as a result, I came across all sorts of ideas of taking a camcorder on a tripod and recording my screen and recording me talking, and it just got very complex. And I thought, this is not something that other teachers could replicate. It's just too hard to figure it all out. So I came across the TechSmith website. TechSmith is a company that's been around out of Michigan. They've been around for, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 years. And they kind of were known as the industry standard when it comes to recording your screen, doing a screencast. So I used their software. I downloaded the free trial. Then I thought this really could work on a larger scale, not just when I'm in jury duty, but anytime to replace my live teaching. And so I really got deep into it. The company TechSmith then contacted me and said, we heard what you're doing with it, with the whole jury duty piece. Can we do a feature story on you, like a case study? So that's what this is here. This is their website where they did a customer story. And they came out and interviewed myself and my students and put together like a nice little 3-minute video that explains how this works. So let's take a look at that. Now it may be buffering because it's a very high resolution. Let's see if I can let it go for a few seconds and then go. Relies on our Wi-Fi connection here, so we'll see how quick we are. I'm Rob Zdrojewski. I'm a middle school technology teacher at Amherst Middle School. Right now it's approximately 8:20 in the morning, and in about a half hour the students will be coming into school like a regular routine day.
Mr. Z has been doing a jury duty for the past week or so.
And he's been giving us videos through Edmodo to tell us our assignments.
Since he's been gone, we've had a lot of subs, but we still were able to watch the videos, so it's just like he was still in class.
I did it with Snagit. Snagit is a great little tool. I can record whatever's on my screen, including my webcam. So I put it in a little corner of the screen myself. So I think it gives like a human element when you can see the person talking to you and not just hear the voice. Let me pause it there. So I feel that's one of my personal beliefs, is that anytime I make a screencast, I want to make sure that you can see me in it. In fact, even right now when I'm recording this, I need to know if I'm kind of off camera, so that's why you got me up in the corner of the screen there. But I think it's important for kids or adults, learners too, to be knowing who it is, to see who it is that they're talking to, especially for those of us that grew up in this world of face-to-face only, you know, minus our kids, which now have both. I think it's a very psychological thing, because I myself, I took an online program for my second master's to get my admin degree, and many of the professors, you never met them. You just maybe heard their voice or, you know, talked to them through email, but you never saw them face-to-face. And I felt like, you know, you're paying all this money to do this big degree, and you don't even get to see your teachers. I felt like that was a big missing piece. So I'm of the personal belief that I want to make sure I can be seen in the screencast that I make. That gets more challenging when we're talking iPads, because some apps don't give you that capability. Some of the ones I do today do, but it's more possible on a desktop or laptop when I got the built-in webcam going here, and I just leave it running the whole time. So I'll show you how to do that, some tricks I've learned how to do that on the iPad.
Mr. Z's class is really cool, actually. I love it.
I like how we get to use phones and computers in Mr. Z's class.
We were taught how to use Google Docs on the computer, and we had to create a survey.
Well, at the beginning, we had to use Evernote to find all the items we wanted.
Let me pause it there. You heard Evernote, you heard Google Docs, you heard survey. There's a lot of technology tools wrapped into this project. This is what I call the ultimate bedroom design project. The kids are given a fictitious $30,000, and they can spend that money any way that they want to build an addition to their home, so like a master suite, if you will, and put stuff inside of this bedroom, whether it be the hot tub, the chocolate machine, the fountain, the gaming system, whatever they want to do. So it really comes down to learning spreadsheets as well to figure out how much does it cost for construction costs. That's where the majority of the money goes. And then whatever money's left over, they can buy all the goodies to put in the room. So they have to figure out, if I spend all the money on construction, I can't even buy a bed. Or if I want to buy all these electronics, I don't have enough, I got to build the room so small that I can't fit them all in there. So there is some good problem solving that goes along with it. And I was real keen on getting this project in. It was probably around April or May, towards the end of the school year. And now this jury duty thing comes up, so I'm thinking, how am I going to pack in all these new technology pieces they've never used I can't teach that to a sub and then have the sub teach it. So that's where, out of necessity, the need for these screencasts came into
And
play.
then we implanted all those items and their prices into Google spreadsheet.
I went to Edmodo and I found out Monday's assignments because it said Monday's assignments and the date.
And then using that, we, as you can see here, we made a survey to see what people said would be better.
This is my survey, actually, that I offered everybody, which it's got different questions on it, and right here I'm explaining how you can create all the different questions and stuff like that. So,
Well, in the past, without using screencasting, I come back in the next day looking at those plans and you don't know what you're going to get. In some cases, it's, we tried working on this, but we had trouble, so the kids used it as a study hall.
We're using our work time to hand in our assignments and do the assignments that he's given us.
I thought it was really fun. It's much better than writing an essay on it.
Although we still do essays, didn't take that out, we still do that. I'm Rob Zdrojewski. I'm a teacher, a father, and a juror, and I'm still teaching my students even though I'm out on jury duty, thanks to screencasting. And I still haven't lived down the fact that I didn't say I'm a husband in there whenever my wife sees that. I always mention that because it's a funny story. If you go on the TechSmith site and you look at other user stories, every video after this, if it's a guy talking, he always says, I'm a husband. He adds that piece in. So they learned from the Rob Z mistake there. But I like the fact that really showcases the necessity of coming up with screencasting. It wasn't just a nice add-on. It was, for me, kind of something I had to do in order to still make progress with the kids with me being out on jury duty. So that's my foray into the world of flipped teaching and making screencasts. And my question is always, we see a room like this. I remember in middle school and high school being in classrooms that look like that. And we say, is this the typical classroom or the atypical classroom? Is it different? And this compared to this is not much different in the sense that there's desks, there's rows, everyone's facing towards the front. That means whoever's standing up front there must have the knowledge. And yes, there could be a student doing a presentation, but more than not, it's usually the teacher that's up there doing more of a speech. This now is a picture of my classroom. And I have around the perimeter, I'm fortunate to have desktop computers. We do have access now to 20 iPad minis as of about a year and a half ago. So we use those in the mix. And the big tables are here because that's where I like to start and stop class every single day. Our class periods are about 40 minutes, and I see kids every other day. So I want to make sure that when they walk in the room, yes, they log onto the computer so it's ready to go, but they have to come back here face to face and sit at the tables so we can have that conversation about how was their weekend, what are you struggling with, those personal connections there. Then majority of the class period, they're out and about using mobile devices or using the desktops. And then at the end of the period, they come back again to the tables. And from my desktop here, I have the ability with this lab control software to see thumbnail images of what's on all of their screens. So even though I can physically look around the perimeter, and I built all those countertops on purpose that way, they know that I can always get a screenshot of it from here too. So there's some accountability piece there too, which is important. There's not, though, when they're on the iPads, or sometimes if we have Chromebooks in our district, if they're using a Chromebook. I don't have a way to see what's on their screen, so the trust level has to be there when we're using those devices. How many people have seen this? The official definition for flipped learning? It's real long, and I wish I could shorten it, but really every word in here does matter. The key pieces being direct instruction moves from the group learning space to the individual learning space. And so therefore, you need the screencast to make that possible. So the student can receive that teacher's instruction, but receive it through video that they have that they're in the driver's seat and have control over with it. So the three questions I always say I ask is, well, who's in the driver's seat from the left side to the right side? And then is this passive or active learning? And as John Bergman says all the time, what's the best use of my face-to-face time? I get back to my triangle lessons I've been doing last week and this week. I'm thinking, yes, I could do these lessons in the class and do it live, but what would maybe take me 10 to 15 minutes there, I could condense down to a 2-minute video, and then once a student understands the equilateral triangle, now they can move on to the acute triangle. But the students that are struggling on this one can spend more time on that, where others can move ahead. So now it really offers the students the ability to be in the driver's seat, and they progress when they're ready to progress. And they show that they have mastery of it by taking a test, usually inside of Edmodo, that will be very objective and let me see the percent that they're getting correct. For me, I like to say 80% or greater would be mastery. If they get anything above 80%, I know they've got the concept and we can move on to the next piece. If not, they have to come see me. We can look at their test results, but I'll usually reset the quiz and give them a second chance to try again on it. So that's a little bit there. So I have that's my final slide. All right, so let's jump in now to some of the workflows that we have, and we shall close that. And if there are any questions as we go along the way, feel free to stop at any time, because I'd like to answer stuff in context so everybody can benefit. Yep. You won't find it there. Snagit is a Windows and Mac software, traditional software. Now, though, it also is, I gotta move myself here, it also is a Chrome extension, which looks like it there. So it is, if you install it inside the Chrome browser, you now have the ability to take screenshots, still images, or create screencasts, video clips, using that. And the good news is that it's free. It's less than a year old, I believe, and as of now it's free. So if you look up Snagit for Chrome, you'll find the ability to install it for free on your desktop or laptop, or Chromebook. That was kind of the reason why they came up with that, because so many schools, how many of your schools have Chromebooks? Anybody have Chromebooks in their schools? Okay. So the Chromebook is the lower priced laptop that only runs the Chrome browser, and that's it. There's good and bad to that. I'm a fan of it. I think it's a good concept. So that makes it possible to make screencasts on a Chromebook. All right, back to our outline here. We have the initial resources to explore. I have them hyperlinked there for you so that you can jump into the ones you're interested in. Those of you that like to look at books, the EDT 504 class that I teach at Canisius, we used this one last semester for our book study. Flip Learning, Gateway to Student Engagement. That's the sequel to the very popular Flip Your Class book by Aaron Sams and John Bergman. Anybody read those books out there? Okay, so if you haven't seen those are definitely a good series to look at. They're real big on giving actual examples and not just talking theory. That's what a lot of my grad school students said as well. So really good stories there, everything from music class to phys ed to art, science, English, foreign language, you name it. They give you practical examples of how you can use the flip learning concepts in your class. The official website of the organization is fliplearning.org. If you're into audio podcasts, I know for me when I'm cutting the grass, when I'm driving in the car, when I'm snow blowing the driveway, whatever it is, I like to listen to podcasts, so I tend to use that as learning time. The Flip Side with John Bergman, no episode is ever more than 10 minutes long. In fact, some of them are just like 6 or 7 minutes long, so for a quick trip in the car, it's a nice way to hear an actual story from somebody out there that's doing flip learning. And he does, how many does he have so far? He's got 41 episodes so far, and he adds them every couple of weeks. You can check those out through iTunes or any other podcasting device. On my iPhone, I like the app called Downcast. That's my preferred app for listening to podcasts. So that's a great one to check out. Another one to check out is the Flip Learning Network. And in episode 24, let's see if it's still linked here, they interviewed me a couple of years ago about how I put kids in the driver's seat by making screencasts and using the Flip Classroom concepts there. Yeah, I think it might not be active anymore. But if you look at the Flip Learning Network, you'll on EdReach, you'll be able to see another good audio podcast that covers stories of people that are flipping. Some video clips to check out. I usually recommend these to administrators that are really have maybe heard about flip learning but not sure if it would work for their teachers. So Blended Learning by Common Craft is one of them. And I used this one this year for open house night in September, because I wanted the parents to know what it means to have 2 classrooms. I said, you're sitting here in my room at Amherst Middle School, room 110. The kids are with me. Well, I did it this way. Anybody know how many minutes there are in a week? Minutes in a week. There's about 10,000, if you round, about 10,000 minutes in a week. In 1 week's time, I see their children for maybe about 80 minutes, 100 minutes. So let's make it easy math and say 100 minutes. So if you do the division on that, what percentage of a kid's week do I get to be with them? 10,000 divided by 100 is 1%. So 1% of their week is spent with me face to face. And I think that's not enough. As a teacher, I want to have a bigger impact on the kids. And if I only get 1% of their time for the week, how much of an impact could I really have? So I like to have a second classroom, which exists online. And for me, I use Edmodo. Anybody else use Edmodo? That's my tool of choice. There's other options. There's Schoology. There's Campus Learning. There's a whole bunch of other similar ones out there, and most of them are free too. But Edmodo is my preferred tool. I've been using it since about 2008, and that is our second classroom. 24/7, it's available for kids to go in, have conversations, make posts, ask questions. In fact, right now, there's kids using it today to take their quizzes, so I can go in anytime today and take a look and see how they're doing. If someone having trouble, needs me to reset a quiz, they send me a message, I respond back. So there's a lot that can happen between those face-to-face 1% times that we have. So I'm going to show you this video here because I showed it to the parents. for two reasons. One is I want them to know what blended learning is, and another reason is I want them to know about an upcoming project their children are going to do, which is make a Common Craft style video. So their children are going to pick a concept, a technical concept, put it into simplified words and animations for people to learn from. So I really had a two-pronged approach to show this on open house night, but I'll show it to you guys because it's one of my favorites.
Anyone who attended school before the internet experienced teaching in a single place, like a building or classroom. While this is still the case today, the internet means that many students and teachers have two classrooms, online and offline. This is often referred to as blended learning because it uses a blend of face-to-face teaching and online self-directed learning. To see how it works, let's meet Alex, a middle school teacher. For most of his career, he would teach a concept in class, assign homework, and then evaluate performance the next day during class. He didn't have a way to work with students when they were out of the classroom. Those assignments happened without a connection to him. But now that students have access to the internet, assignments can be completed in a blended fashion, with parts taking place in the classroom, at home, or another location. This way, Alex can work with students throughout the assignment. For Alex and other teachers, this happens thanks to new tools like learning management systems that can be accessed on the internet. With these tools, Alex can provide assignments, tools and resources, media, quizzes, and discussion spaces in an online classroom. This online access means that as students complete assignments at home, Alex can evaluate their progress and collaborate with the class through online discussions. Blended learning means that Alex's class time can be more productive. Because he can arrive with a clearer idea of his students' progress, he can focus his classroom time where it's needed most. But this is just one form of blended learning. It can also be a specific combination of offline and online activities, or self-directed assignments where students choose to learn online or off. Some schools even choose to flip their classrooms. Here, students access online content at home and then apply it to assignments or problems in class with the guidance of the teacher. Of course, blended learning works best when teachers and students have access to high-quality resources and reliable internet connections. Students who are not comfortable with computers may need extra support. But in most cases, blended learning offers teachers like Alex a way to work with students in both classrooms so his teaching can be more effective.
So there's how you get that more than 1% of access to your kids during the week, is by having a blended classroom approach. Flipped learning is one flavor of what we put under the category of blended learning. So I like that video to show that, to explain that concept. And also, I'm going to, later, if you follow my blog, I'm sure I'll be posting some of the good projects the kids are going to be making. We purchased a subscription to Go Animate. Has anybody used Go Animate? Go Animate is an animation tool, completely web-based, so there's nothing to install. Kids get accounts, and then they can create video projects online. And one of the things you can pay extra for is access to the Common Craft cutouts, the little characters and things like that. So the kids can make stories using simplified images to explain something that would normally be complex. So I'm going to have the kids try to take something that will say their parents don't understand, like how does social media work, or how does Wi-Fi work, and be able to make a Common Craft style video to explain that to people. So I'm excited with the stuff they're going to come up with, because they come up with stuff that I never would have thought about to explain. And the stuff that they can explain to an adult by this kind of video is pretty amazing. So be on the lookout for that, probably more March, April, May, somewhere in that time frame there, because we're going to be doing some of those as our class projects, and we'll blog about them too. All right, looks like I got to close my little Snagit window here and move that back. Okay, so we saw the blended learning by Common Craft. Flipped Learning Explained is another good video to check out on your own if you're interested in that. And then we saw that earlier today, Why Flip Your Class. I showed you the definition in the slideshow, so you saw that. And then a couple of articles. These are some educational tech publications related to my whole jury duty story. It kind of created a spur of publicity, I guess you could say, for our school about how teachers are now be able to keep pace with their students, not lose track when they're out of the classroom. So there's a couple of stories that follow along with that. When we get to the actual iPad screencasting apps, the top 5 that I'm recommending here are the ones that I've used the most. The newest one, though, being Nomia. Nomia is was just bought out by TechSmith, which is the company that does Snagit and Camtasia and a lot of the tools that I like to use. But they're really two tools in one. It's a free app that you can use on your iPad to make videos, but it's also a hosting solution too. Whereas you can look at other teachers' videos that are made already, and you can create those videos. So they kind of give you two different paths to go down when you reach their site. Has anybody ever seen Nomia before or have experience with that? So that's one that I myself am still looking at. In the past couple of weeks, I just started digging into it. I think it has some great possibilities though. And the way that they've done it with the apps, there's a free version and a paid version. The paid version is $10, and what that gives you the ability to do is more bells and whistles, but mostly to be able to save your videos that you make directly to the camera roll on your iPad. And that's important because then that means you can put it any place that you want. You're not just locked into the Nomia platform. The other thing they allow you to do is upload directly to YouTube, so that's an option for some teachers. And then I think it removes the 15-minute restriction when you record videos. So for $10, it's worth it because you get a couple more features, but I'm using the free version right now, and I'm going to try that with my students as well. On the 20 iPads that I have, we'll put the free version on there and have them use that to make screencast videos. So it'll be very similar to the other apps that I'm showing you here today that I'm more familiar with, such as ScreenChomp, Educreations, and Explain Everything. I threw in Coach's Eye because that one's good especially for phys ed people or health or anybody that records something that would be best to see it in slow motion. It could be like in health or in a phys ed class, how to properly do a sit-up, so you could play in slow motion the person doing a sit-up, zoom in real close to show maybe the angle of their hips, draw on the screen to show, to draw emphasis, or even just play it in slow motion so you could analyze something much slower. It could even be something like in the home and careers class where it's using the sewing machine and you need to see where to place your hands, or in the technology class where you're using the bandsaw and you want to make sure you have kids know where to position their hands properly when cutting something. So anything that really would be best in slow motion, Coach's Eye is a good app for that, and I have a demonstration we'll do once we get to that workflow. So that's just an overview of the apps we're going to cover today and the workflows that I'll have for you here. Some recommended tablet or smartphone stands. I like these because they're all universal, meaning you're not locked into using a certain brand of tablet, such as an iPad, or a certain size, such as an iPad mini versus a regular iPad versus the thin one versus the thick one. We never know what's going to come up, so I don't like to invest in stands that are not going to be good later on down the road. So the first one I have is what my iPad mini is sitting on right now, which is the Anchor tablet stand. For $10, I think it's a great one to have a couple of these around in the classroom. It looks like this, and the way that it works is you press the button on the side and you can adjust for height. So now I could have a very steep angle versus if I need to type with it, I can go mod to a lower angle like that. So when I lay it down on here, whether it works both nicely for my phone and the iPad, you just have a nice little stand. And you can throw that right in a book bag or a purse or something like that and have it with you. So for $10, it's a nice little handy stand to have available for your tablets or your smartphones. Next step up would be the Boomerang tablet stand. This is the one that I mentioned earlier. We're going to be giving this one away today as one of our door prizes. 3 separate pieces that go together. It's called Boomerang because of the base itself. Kind of looks like a boomerang. It has nice connections on there that go nice and tight. And then it sits just like you see in the picture there. Put your tablet right on top, camera shooting down, and now that gives you a nice way to have that good, it can fit a good 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper underneath it. It's just the right height to be able to record what you're doing on there. So this was a kind of a homemade invention that Gary, the tech teacher, 5th grade teacher, was able to take mainstream, and now he sells these all over the world through his website and through Amazon also. And the price on that is listed as about $70. And then this one I just received in the mail about a week ago, the JustStand version 2 iPad stand. The reason why I wanted this one was I wanted to have height adjustment. With the Boomerang stand, you're limited to 1 foot. Sometimes I want to be really close when I'm drawing something. Other times I want to be farther away so I can show more than 1 sheet of paper on there. So since this is not height adjustable, I did some research to see what was out there. There's a lot of stuff you can get, but it usually is around the 200 to 300 to 400 range, and I don't want to spend that. So the lowest price I found that was still decent quality was this one for $99. And it is, as you can see here, height adjustable. That piece goes up and down. Also allows for holding the iPad at different angles. So it does clamp it nicely so that you can have it tilted up like that. This might be good for doing FaceTime in the class or recording like a video of yourself explaining, like a video blog post. It also rotates down and up. Let's see, so there's down, there's up, and then it is completely portable No, I didn't want to exceed the 50-pound weight limit that Southwest Airlines has, so I didn't pack it, because it is a little bit heavy, but it does compact down nice and small, so it does fit inside of a suitcase. And then there's even, if you spend, I think, $30 more, you get the ability to have, in the base of the unit here, some USB charging ports, so you could have your phone plugged in at the same time. And here they're showing you it does rotate. It swivels a full 360 degrees. So for $100, I think it's a nice option to be able to use your tablet device as a document camera, as a FaceTime camera, as a podcasting camera, kind of in place of a tripod. So I do have that one that I use now in my classroom as of about a week ago. All right, case studies. We're going to jump into these now. This is where the, if I may say, the meat and potatoes of our workshop is today, because these are typical examples of how you might use screencasting videos in a classroom. First one being the hand recordings worksheet using the Google Drive app. So first of all, let's look at what I mean by hand recorded drawings. It's going to make me log in, okay. And these are the ones I made about 2 weeks ago. I'm doing Lego Robotics with the students, and we're taking them on a mission in the hallway where we have the 2x2 foot square tiles in the hallway, and I want them to be able to go, I'm going to give them a random pattern of what to follow, so maybe tile 1, then 5, then 8, then 2, then 2, or 3. So they're going to go in patterns, and to do that, they have to figure out, well, how long is it to travel? How many inches forward do I have to go? As a result, because we are working with 90-degree angles, we can use Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because we know this tile is 2 feet, this tile is 2 feet, so what's that 45-degree angle? How long is that? So I'm actually teaching my 7th and 8th graders that concept before they learn it in, I think, 9th or 10th grade. It's where they officially learn it. So how could me, the tech teacher, who's not the math teacher, teach them high school math? I thought, why not do it through screencasting? So I made 6 different videos. They're all around 3 to 4 minutes each. I'll pick one at random here. Let's do the isosceles equilateral, I think this one is. So you get a flavor of what this is. And it's buffering.
Now this type of triangle is related to the equilateral triangle. We can call it its cousin. But this one's a little bit different. You see the word here, isosceles. An isosceles equilateral triangle has only 2 equal angles instead of all of them, and only 2 equal sides instead of all of them. All right,
so this is what I traditionally would have done without flipping, doing traditional teaching. I would have done this in front of the class. I already had the worksheets already made, so now it's just a matter of digitizing them by recording them. Another nice thing about storing things inside of YouTube or Google Drive is the fact that you can change the quality. In fact, if I pop this out, I think it'll show me additional options. Let's see, will it show me the ability to change the speed? Yes, it does. So the speed is default is normal. Let's say a kid already watched this video and they just need a reminder of something that maybe happens later on. They don't have to sit through it at normal speed. Maybe they can go at 1.5 speed. Let's see if I'm still legible or hearable that way.
Now this type of triangle is related to the equilateral triangle. We can call it its cousin, but this one's a little bit different. You see the word here, isosceles. An isosceles.
So if they already watched this, nothing says you can't just speed it up and watch it at a faster pace. Or vice versa, if you're really having trouble, you can slow it down. It might sound funny.
Equilateral triangle.
But maybe some students need that.
2 equal angles.
So I didn't have to do anything special to make that possible. Google automatically does that to all videos that are stored in Google Drive, which is what I'm doing here, or if you store something on YouTube. Now in our school they block YouTube for students. How many of you also experience that? Yeah, many of you do. So the workaround is to store your stuff in Google Drive, in your Google Drive account, and make it accessible to the public by changing the privacy level of it. Now that is done by the following. When it's in here, I can, oh, you know what, I'm not inside of Google Drive, so I can't do that. When I'm inside of here, and I go to, let me think here, I gotta switch to my, I have two flavors of Google. I have me at school and me at home. So this is my school version of it. If I go into my curriculum, projects, Lego Robotics, and then triangle lessons. So here are those actual videos. So if I want to make this now publicly accessible, because by default it's only private, only I can see it, I would go to the share area, And they've changed this. Google has changed this now. I like the traditional view, so you click on advanced and you can see it. So I change it, instead of being here from off, only specific people like me can see it, I change it to the most public, which means anyone on the web can find it. Which does mean too, if someone searched the keywords of isosceles, acute, triangle, Zdrojewski, Amherst, any of those keywords, they might actually get a Google search result for my video. If you're not okay with that and you don't want it to be found, pick the second option down, which is on anyone with the link. And that's like a YouTube video that's known as unlisted. It's out there for the public to see, but it's a real long link and you're never going to just search for it. You have to know that exact link. It has to be provided to you. So that's what I call between fully public and kind of public, the difference between those two there. So I always give that disclaimer in case someone says, you know, I'm okay with kids getting it, but I don't want anyone else to find it. You have that control over that. And plus, because it's in Google Drive, there is no worries about advertisements or inappropriate suggested videos coming up. If you're a school organization using it like ours is, notice in the bottom left-hand corner, it says how many gigabytes I've used, but there's no limit. It's not out of something. As of about 2 months ago, Google changed that, so now it's unlimited storage for schools that are using Google Apps for education, which is a sweet deal because that means I can make videos for the rest of my career. I can make hours long of videos every day if I wanted to, and I would never run out of space. And the school doesn't pay anything to have that be possible. So I think it's to go direct competition to what Microsoft might be offering to really go head-to-head, but that's really a great feature now because all of your teachers and students can have cloud storage and not worry about filling it up and running out of space. So that's just kind of a side note there to that. So you saw that example there. And I'm going to, yes?
And you just put the link to that in your EdNote for the kids to look into, right?
That's correct. In fact, what I did, let me reopen that closed tab. Oh, here's a good little lesson. I just closed a tab that I didn't want to close. Did you know in Chrome you can do this, reopen closed tab, and it brings it back to life again? That was shown to me by one of my students because when you're in front of the class and you're doing a lot of things and you close something, you're like, oops, I didn't mean to close that. No problem, just on any tab, right click and go to reopen closed tab and it comes back. And in fact, you can keep doing that and it'll go back in your history and keep opening up your tabs. So if you make a mistake like that in front of an audience, don't feel nervous or bad about that. You can just bring it back to life real easily like that. So I did that because you asked the question about how I share them. And here's what I did. I made a folder. And to make a folder in Google Drive, you go to New and then Folder, and then it creates a folder. I called it Triangle Types, and in that folder, I put all 6 of my videos. So what I want to give people is access to that folder. So rather than make each video shareable, I'd have to do that 6 times, it's easier to just take the folder and make the whole folder shareable. So I go to Public on the web. So by making that public, now I can share a link to that folder. And I'll show you. Here's get link. This is the link, so I'm going to copy that link. Can I do a Control Command C? All right, so I copied that link. So now when somebody goes to open that link, this is what they see. Let's see if it comes up. It comes up like this. So this is a publicly shareable link. I can give any of you guys, in fact, I have it in the outline for you. When you open it, you won't be inside of my Google Drive account. You'll just be in a Google Drive folder that lives on the web, and it happens to be the videos that I put in there. You can also change it to a list view too, because sometimes I might have hundreds of videos made by students, and seeing the thumbnail images takes a while to load. So you can switch on the upper right-hand corner there between the grid view, which I kind of like, because then you can see inside the videos, or a list view, and then you can nicely see the names of them too. So I use Google Drive now for a lot of storage, especially when I want to provide access for people to see all that stuff. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right, so back to where I left off here. So we're going to make a hand recording video using the Google Drive app. All right, so I'm going to switch now. I'm going to minimize this, and you're going to be looking now at my iPad mini, so the screen of the iPad. Now a little bit of background how I'm doing this. I'm doing this through a wired method. Have any of you ever used a wireless method to transmit your iPad or iPhone screen using an app called either Reflector or Air Server? Anybody use this? Chromecast can do it from a non-Apple device, I think, right? From an Android tablet? Okay. I think with Apple devices, the Chromecast is not going to work. Unless you get a third-party app and then you can play videos that are on your camera roll. Because I did that at at a relative's house. I was able to get that. But the world of Apple wants you to stick in the world of Apple pretty much. So there are apps that you can buy. I used to use them. They're about 10, 15 bucks a piece. One's called Reflector, installs on your Mac or your PC. I think it's both. It's cross-platform. And the other one is Air Server. So those two companies create these apps so that you can use totally wireless, transmit from your mobile devices to the screen of your laptop, which is really helpful, especially if you're connected to a projector like I am now. But the downside to that, as you might imagine, is it relies on Wi-Fi, good Wi-Fi, so that the laptop and the mobile device are on the same Wi-Fi network. That's an unrestricted network, meaning it's open and devices can talk to one another, and the Wi-Fi doesn't go down, especially when you're presenting like this. You don't want your Wi-Fi to go down, especially in front of students too. So while that was working okay for a while, my school doesn't have open Wi-Fi. I can get on Wi-Fi, but the two devices are blocked from seeing each other. So my workaround at school for a while was using my iPhone and turning this into a mobile hotspot with Verizon. So I was providing my own Wi-Fi and then connecting the iPad to this and the laptop to this and then connect the laptop to the projector. It got very cumbersome, especially when you want to just set stuff up before a first period class. So a nice thing about what Apple finally did with the newest version of the operating system on Apple devices, which is called Yosemite. It's iOS 10.9, I think it is. The newest operating system has a feature that lets you use the QuickTime Player, which you can see I have it loaded up right here. It's been on there forever, the QuickTime Player. But now you can treat your iPad as if it's a camera. So let's start this from scratch here so that you understand what I'm doing. The other piece of it is you have to have iOS 8 on your tablet, on your iPad. It won't work with iOS 7 or earlier. So that really forced me to upgrade this to iOS 8. So I've got the latest operating system on both sides of it here. I've connected using the charging cable known as the lightning cable, the USB cable here. So the good thing here is now we're not relying on any Wi-Fi. We're hardwired. So there's less chance of Wi-Fi dropping out or Wi-Fi being an issue. So we're hardwired there. You launch on your Mac, on your laptop or desktop, the QuickTime Player, and you go to File, New Movie Recording. Even though I'm not going to record a movie, you go to New Movie Recording. And it usually defaults to the webcam. So you have to change your source, the little drop-down arrow, and you choose the name of the iPad. And let's see if it goes here. I had it open already, so maybe that's why I have to close it and start again. So close QuickTime, and then we'll open it up. And we'll go File, New Movie Recording. And let me drop it down. See, I'm running Camtasia at the same time, and I'm running my little corner picture-in-picture window at the same time, so I'm running a lot of video all at once. So I wonder if it's going to... There's the webcam, and then how about now the iPad? Come on back. Let's do this. Unplug and replug. I probably shouldn't have started over again. Once I had it going, I should have kept it going. And pick the iPad. Come on. I don't want to have to reboot the laptop. Do a forced close. Try again. File, New Movie. There we go. All right, so we got the name of the iPad chosen. So now it's a little bit of latency, maybe about 1 second delay from when I'm moving here, but at least you can see it now without having to rely on any Wi-Fi to make this possible. So the app I'm going to use, well, let me put it this way. Many of us are probably more familiar with using the standard old camera app, which is the one that looks like that, right? Where we launch the camera, and then we can record video footage of whatever we're doing that way. You could do that, and then it would store the file itself on the camera roll, which would be camera roll. It would be, among your photos and videos. But then it's on your camera roll. You still have to get it up to Google Drive somehow, right? You can open the Google Drive app and you can say upload from my camera roll. You can do that, but that's about 4 or 5 steps to do that. So I found what I think is a quicker workflow, which is to shoot your footage directly inside of the Google Drive app. So in other words, there's no shooting it with the standard app, camera roll, then Google Drive app. That's like 3 steps. Here it's just you launch the Google Drive app directly, which is the one in the bottom corner there, right there. Move my mouse out of the way. So you launch the Google Drive app. How many are familiar with that? Couple people? Okay. Google Drive app is launched. I'm going to make sure I'm logged in as me. Yep, that's me in my school account. What I recommend you do, just so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, is make yourself a folder or go into a folder where you know this video clip's going to be. So I'm going to make a new folder right now first, and I'll call it my FETC demo. I'm going to hit plus up in the corner, which says, what do you want to add? I want to add a new folder. I'll call it FETC, what's today, Wednesday. It says fetch. Okay, that's our autocorrect. And create. So at least I have a folder that where to go here? It's somewhere in here. There it is up there. So I'm going to go in that folder, which will be empty. So now I'll know where it's going to be. It won't be messed up around the hundreds of items I have in my Google Drive account. So now I hit the plus button. Anytime you're going to add something, you hit plus. And the option exists right there to use the camera. So rather than pulling it off the camera roll, like I talked about before, why not just shoot it right inside using the camera? It's going to default to the photo mode, so you want to switch it to video by swiping. And now it's in video mode. And you're seeing a live image here. Let's see how clear it's going to be. Now I do need to make sure that rotation lock is not on, and I think it is. Let me get rid of the rotation lock. Okay, because what I need to do is rotate here, so that way is up. And the camera lens is right here where my finger is. There's a notch here. See if I go like this, you can see it. Where the heck am I here? This is really, okay, that's hard to do. I gotta stand up and do it. Right there. See, there's a notch here that is where you're gonna put the lens of the camera. So I'm going to lower it down right there. Okay, so that's using my Boomerang stand. I now have the ability to pretend here, like I'm going to write on it. And so I'll make a video talking about this. So in video mode, I hit record. All right, hi everybody, it's Mr. Z here, and today we're going to talk about the isosceles right triangle. I want you to remember that angle C here that I have demonstrated is always going to be the 90-degree angle. So because angle C is 90, and of course we have a pen that's not writing, you would maybe rehearse before you hit record here. So let's imagine it's working. So we're down 90. I have the ability then to know that this angle plus that angle have to equal 180 degrees. So if I know that that's 90, that leaves me 90 degrees between these two. So how do I break it apart? Well, we know an isosceles means that there's something that's equal. Two of something is equal. So angle B and angle A are the same number. And since there's 90 degrees between the two of them, I just simply divide by 2. So that gives us 45 degrees, and 90 degrees. So that's how we calculate that. All right, now take a look at your worksheet and make sure you calculate using your numbers and not my examples here. All right, so I stopped there. So what do we got? We have a video that is, I don't know if it'll play back. You might not hear it because of the way I'm hooked up here. But normally you'd hear your voice talking. If you're happy with it, you would say use video, bottom right corner. And now, within a matter of minutes, again, it's very dependent upon your Wi-Fi quality, it's going to upload it directly into your Google Drive. You can see in the bottom left corner, it is saying that now. It's uploading that. It'll take, once it's there, it'll take probably about 5 to 10 minutes for Google to process it on their end. Google will take that video and make it into multiple formats. It'll be, I think, 1080p at the highest, 720p, 420p, and probably 360p. So 4 different quality grades, which is good because if you have kids watching these from maybe a dial-up connection from home and they have a slow internet, it'll default to the lower quality versus someone that might be on a good quality internet connection, it'll play higher. Then Google will also make it available to be played in like 1.5 speed faster talking and also the slower speed talking too. So all that happens magically on Google's end, we just have to wait for it. But at this point, all I can do is, I can switch over here now and show you back on the web side of things. All right, if I go into my Google Drive account for school, let's go into the folder I made, which is called FETC Wednesday. There it is. And you'll see it'll come up as Oh, you know what? It's not uploaded yet. That's right. It's still going. So it's still going on this end here. When this progress bar were to finish, it would appear here, and then I would be able to grab the link like I did earlier with those other ones. So we'll let that process still because it looks like it's still uploading now. Yes?
You might have said this and I might have missed it. Why do you have the iPad hooked up to the computer and not just doing this just through the iPad?
Oh, well, because I'm demonstrating today, in your classroom you wouldn't have the iPad hooked up to the computer necessarily, unless you need to show it live to your class.
Okay.
If I'm making like my triangle videos there, I did not hook it up to my computer when I did that. I just had this stand all by itself, computer was over there, and recorded just like that. It's just for purposes of demonstrating today. But you could also use it for a live document camera. If you're going to do a live lesson in front of the class, you can use your iPad as the document camera in place of the overhead transparency, from years past. That's right. And some teachers like that idea of, I'm teaching my lesson, so I might as well record it so that those that aren't there can see it. But keep in mind, you might get, in your recording, oh, so-and-so, you need to go to the bathroom. Are you sure? Can you wait? Can you get those kinds of things happen in there. Some people are okay with that and some aren't. I know some, especially math teachers, they like to do their lessons during planning time so that maybe what would be a 10-minute demo in class ends up being only a 3-minute condensed version of a video, because they just keep going at rapid pace and they don't stop and take questions and then have to edit that out. They make it as a one-shot video, knowing that kids can pause at any time and rewind if need be, or pause it and take notes, look at something else and come back. So those are considerations.
And do you do a video every day? Like, do they go home every night and have a video to watch?
No, not necessarily. My class is very project-based. So if, say, one of our projects is making a caring message project, which is they take a famous quote and put it in their own words, and then we use it on our morning show, that has a lot of technical steps from typing up their script to getting the copying and pasting from the spreadsheet we use. All that kind of stuff I'll make in videos so that when they reach those steps, they can learn the thing and then do the thing. They don't have to come and see me and say, okay, I'm ready for the next step. Can you show me what to do? Does that make sense? Because I don't know when kids are going to be doing certain phases of a project.
So you just take a Saturday morning and just go ahead when you're painting that unit and you record all those videos?
Not even Saturday, just during my planning time. I get 2 planning times a day.
It's time consuming doing it.
It is at first. The front loading piece is at first. But once you've done the project, the next time you do it, you're going to just tweak a little bit of it, not the whole thing again. So it's a big investment up front, but then after that, it's a lot less. And as a result, I can have more face-to-face time with the kids rather than stand in front and lecture to everybody and not really get the chance to talk one-on-one with kids. So that, you're right, it's front-loading. It's a big commitment up front. But then if you see the light at the end of the tunnel and you know at the end, that means that you're going to have a lot more time to be with the kids, among the kids, rather than in front of the kids. It kind of changes the game a bit. But that's a good point. And as you can see, our Wi-Fi here is kind of slow. I think I'm getting like 2 megabits up, which is slow. At home, I'm on Verizon Fios, and I think I have 75, so I'm not used to it going so slow. But if I did this from home or from school, it probably, this what I make, a 1-minute video, would probably only take about 10 minutes or so, 8 minutes or so to upload and process. So we're going to let that go in the background. So you saw the workflow for that. I call those the hand recordings, where you're doing your thing using your traditional worksheets and stuff. So any questions on that workflow? Shooting footage right into Google Drive. Okay. So my second workflow now is digital handwriting on a whiteboard. So same idea, but this time you're not going to see my hand. We're going to be using our finger to write on the screen of the iPad and using a virtual whiteboard. And the app we're going to use for this is called ScreenChomp. So let me switch back here to the iPad.
You say ScreenChomp?
ScreenChomp, yes. And in the outline, all these blue hyperlinks here will take you right to the iTunes listing, so you have the direct link to it. This one is free. It's been around for a while. In fact, it really hasn't been updated since August of 2013, and I think I have a little bit of insider information. Since TechSmith, the company, acquired Nomia, Nomia is kind of a direct competitor to this own product, to what TechSmith has had for years. So I'm thinking that this may be fading away or being totally revamped and taking Nomia and ScreenChomp and merging the two together, taking like the best of both worlds. So while it hasn't been updated in a while, sometimes it bothers some people because they feel like, am I going to invest time on something that's not going to be there? Anything you make is is made. And you don't need the app anymore after you make it. So after you make a video like I'm about to make here about teaching about triangles, I don't need the app anymore after that fact. So it's okay if it does go away. It's just my tool to create. I'm not so much concerned if the app itself changes down the road. So let's take us back to, close some windows here, get us out of there. All right, so now we're going to look at the iPad screen again. Here it is. And ScreenChomp is the one that looks like in the bottom left there, or center left rather. And the thing I like the most about this is that it's simple. But the thing I like the least about it is that it's simple. Okay, it's kind of tough to explain that. But when you're getting started with making screencasts, I'm a big believer that you don't want to have over complexity. And one of the apps I'm going to show you today really has a lot of bells and whistles. In fact, it's a $3 app, and in the world of apps, that's expensive. But it's because it has so many capabilities. This here is very limiting, but it's almost good because there's no accounts that are needed. No students have to have logins or email addresses or what's my password, I can't remember what it is. None of those issues, they're all gone. But you can still store stuff online. So you can hand the iPad to a kid and say, here, make a really good video that explains today's concept. They can make it and not have to worry about logging in or providing accounts or anything like that. So I do like that fact that it's very simple. To go over the interface here, we have, let's start at the top. Upper left-hand corner is our little screencast guy. When you click on that, it takes you back to the main menu where you can give feedback about the app, rate it in the store, and then a little advocacy piece about why you use ScreenChomp. But let's go back to draw and record. All of our history is stored up here. This is a history that's stored locally on this iPad only. So other iPads within the classroom, they don't have every video project that every child recorded. So it's important that kids always go back to the same iPad. Just in terms of materials management, I always have my kids assigned to a numbered iPad in my classroom. In fact, on the back, I took a metal engraving pen and I engraved the numbers on there because the school district put stickers on them like, property of Erie One BOCES. But we all know that kids can pick those off or, abrasion will wear them off. So I wanted it to be permanent. So I got one of those metal engraving pens for $10 from a hardware store and I engraved in actual numbers there that you can't erase. I also put in Amherst Central Schools, which I think was important because if it ever leaves my classroom, it's not like it can be sold on the market. And said it was somebody's personal device. So our history is there always. That's something I recorded at the last presentation that I did at the NiceGate conference. Let's see if it connects here and shows us. And you'll hear the voice talking. You'll see a math example here. Oh, I might not hear anything because of the way I'm connected. Yeah, you're not going to hear anything because I'm connected to the projector. But my voice is talking there, and I take you through a specific math example of how to solve for x. So I'll demonstrate that now for you. So a big blank white canvas ready to be written on. You can use 2 fingers to give more room, just like if you remember years ago with the overhead projectors and you had the wheel of clear plastic and you could write on it with a marker and then the teacher would wheel it to bring in more surface. Same idea here, because when you write with your hands, you can use 2 fingers to go up and down to give yourself more space. All right, so big white canvas. Bottom left-hand corner, we have some options to add things in. And those things would be choose an item from your, an image from your photo library. Choose something from Dropbox. I'm not a big Dropbox user. Is anybody a Dropbox user? No? I'm using Google Drive more for cloud storage, but those of you that, Dropbox has been around longer, that's probably why it's still in there. And then you can simply take a photo using your camera, maybe a picture of a worksheet, and put it right on the screen. And then, of course, to remove the background. So those are some options there. This is the eraser feature. You saw what I did is I drew some stuff here with my finger, and if I touch and hold it, the cloth comes by and wipes it clean. So that's a simple way to do that. You have 3 markers at the bottom, and if you touch them, you see you have fine, medium, and wide, and you have different colors on your color palette. You then have the eraser tool there, which is a touch and hold eraser, and then the big red record button, which is the most important part of all, because that'll allow you to record. So for this, I had made some notes for myself here. I want to make sure. All right, I'm going to tell you guys the objective. So the objective of this video is, given the measurement of 2 interior angles of a triangle, the student will be able to calculate the measurement in degrees of the 3rd missing angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the stage here. So I don't want to just hit record and start with a blank white canvas. I want to have some stuff pre-populated on there. So I'm going to draw a right triangle here. And then draw 90, 45. Okay, so then I'm going to do 90 plus 45 plus x equals 180. So setting the stage before I start recording. All right, now I'm ready to record, and I'll angle it this way a little bit. Record. Gives us a nice countdown. Hi everybody, it's Mr. Z, and today's math lesson is talking about triangle angles. If you remember, we talked about these angles. Here's one here, there's another one there, and another one there. They always add up, when you add all three, to 180 degrees. So in red, I have my equation ready to go. So let's solve that equation. What we need to do first is add, let me see, I'm going to take this pen, and let's add the 90 and the 45 together. And that ends up being 135. Right? I think I'm right about that. Right? Yeah, 135. Plus x equals 180. Well, now we want to get that x all by itself. This one right here, we got to get it by itself. So what do we do to get rid of it? We can subtract out the other parts here. So 135 minus 135. Okay, and I bring it back down. X is left on this side, and it equals 180 minus 135, which should be, if I did this correctly, 45. So there's your answer. X equals 45. And in this example triangle here, I happen to draw an isosceles right triangle, meaning that the angle here, also the angle here, are the same. They're both 45 degrees. And then this angle here is our 90. All right, so that's our figuring the angles video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. So I hit stop. It'll now start playback. If I had this connected in a normal way, you'd be able to hear it playing, and it takes people through the steps there. To get this video out, because it lives just on this iPad right now, I use the bottom right-hand corner, that little share icon. It'll send it up to the screencast.com servers. Now, for that to happen, it's going to be giving us our progress up top there. If I tap on that, it will say, yeah, maybe because of the, I got this before too. I think it's because of the Wi-Fi that I'm on. It's not connected to the network. But if it was working and I was on my school Wi-Fi, it would tell me there a little progress bar when it's going, and when it's done, it'll be there just like that one is. So that, imagine this was the one we just recorded. And I apologize, it's because of the Wi-Fi. I saw this happen before too. You do have to be on Wi-Fi when you're recording this. You have down here the share button. Here's your options for sharing. You can copy the link, which will be a direct link. You can email the link to somebody, or you could tweet the link out. I've never used the tweet link out, but I guess it's there for people that want to do that. Most of the time for me, I would go to copy link, and it's copied to the clipboard. So now if I open up, for me I would go to Edmodo, because that's where I would post it, but let's just open up a browser. Let's go to Safari. And let's open up the Safari browser. Or Chrome. What do I got on here? I might have Chrome on here instead for my browser. Although Safari should be there. Alright, so now I can paste that link up at the top. Touch and hold. Paste. Go. Oh, it's not going to go because I put 2 pages up there. Try that again. Delete that. Touch and hold. Paste. Go. So now we're in a browser, and it should show you screenchomp.com, and it'll show you the video that we were accessing before. All right, so there's that video. Now, if we were on a desktop, you could right-click on that and say Save as MP4, and you can save that video to your hard drive. So there is a way to get that out if you so need to do so. This will play on any mobile device, including iPads, anything that's HTML5 capable, so you don't run into that limitation of, doesn't play on an iPad, like some cases when it's Flash-based. But this does play on any tablet. It's HTML5 optimized for that. There's something else I wanted to show you the email option. So back to here, if instead of when you hit share there, instead of going to the first link of copy, instead if we want to email that link out, this might be more convenient if you're sending it to just one person and not the whole class. You get your familiar looking compose email message, and you can send it to anybody in your address book. I'll send it to me, and it gives the link automatically. Here's my ScreenChomp video, and then I'll send it, and then it should be in my email. We'll check in a little bit. All right, so that's how we use the ScreenChomp app to do the very basic, just a recordable white canvas, draw with your finger, bring in pictures if you want, And that's a pretty most basic workflow.
So the
Yes?
kids, if the kids make a video,
Mhm.
they don't have to have an account anywhere.
That's correct.
They can just email you their link and.
Yep, and that's a common workflow. The student will email the result to their teacher, so the teacher sees it. I'm not as huge of a fan on that because then I feel like only I'm benefiting from what that child did. If the child instead posts it on the wall in Edmodo, now all their, in my case, 172 classmates all get to see what that child created. So I call that learning in public. Instead of just me benefiting, all the kids get to benefit. And then taking it one step further, I have the kids look for 5 other classmates, watch their video, and leave some commentary on it. And then kids can see, oh, I never thought about that. Maybe I should have used that picture instead of that picture. So that really, that starts promoting the whole collaborative piece, and it makes it easy because no accounts needed, no passwords. It's just a very simple app to use, and it spits out a link at the end. As far as I know, there's no limitation to how many you can create. There's no limit to the length of time. I've never probably tried more than 10 minutes anyways. So there's really not any restrictions when it comes to that, and no advertisements to deal with either, and no suggested videos. So there's a lot of good things about it being simple. Any other questions on the ScreenChomp app?
Can you change the pen color?
The pin color?
Yeah.
Oh, pen color. Yes, you can change the pen color, yep. On the palette, if you touch and hold, right? Yes, if you touch and hold, you get to change the thickness of the pen and also the color. So just changing it like that changes the color. That's probably an ugly color, but that's okay. So yeah, pretty neat. I've used that one from many years ago because it was the most simplest one. It's been out there a very long time too. Out of that came other competition ones, which is what I'm going to show you guys next. Ones that do a little bit more when you want to have more capability. But I'm thinking, since we're just about at the halfway point, let me see where I'm at here. Yeah, this probably, well, let me do the next one and then we'll take a little break because we'll be at the midpoint. I'm going to do one more with ScreenChomp, but this time around I'm going to do it while I'm annotating an image. I want to show you how I can get images in there from the web. So we'll do that one and then we'll take a little 5-minute break after that. So before I do that though, I need to get a image, and the objective I want to do here is teach students how to read a ruler with the 1/8 inch marks on there. Because in my class we had to do that to measure it on the floor for their programming their Lego Robotics. They had to read the ruler very finely and know what each little mark on that ruler meant. So if we take I'll use the Google search tool here, and I need an image of a ruler with 1/8 inch marks on it. Now yes, I could take a picture. If I had my own ruler right now, I could use the camera and take a picture of that ruler. But there's probably going to be, and you can see I did this already because it's in there, ruler eighths. Somebody on the web is going to have some images that I could just steal, or shall we say borrow. I like that purplish one. Let's go with that. So I want to use that image. If I touch and hold, let's see, save image is, it's hard to see, it's right up there. So save that image. Nope, that didn't do it. That says a contact. Let me see what I get this for my options here. There we go, down in the bottom corner. In this case, it's options. If you're in Safari, the trick is to touch and hold. I'm using the Google search app, so it's a little different. So I hit options, and then I want to, you should say save there. You know what, maybe we should use Safari. Let's do that. Pull down here and go to SAF, Safari. I really don't use Safari too much. I know it's the built-in Apple solution for browsing the web. Ruler, E-I-G-H-T-H-S, ruler eighths. And so I will switch this to images instead of web results. And we get all of our examples here. I'm going to pick that purplish looking one. And now if I hit view image, it shows me that image. I'm going to touch and hold it. And there it is. It says save image. And what that just did is it saved it to my camera roll. I'll prove that to you by going into the camera roll. And there it is at the very end. So we see it there. So now I've obtained the desired image, and kids will do that all the time too. That's a workflow that they're familiar with. They say go out to the web, get an image that you're going to use for your screencast. Now let's use ScreenChomp, and we'll bring that in. So to do that, bottom left-hand corner is that button there, the import button. We're going to choose from library, and we'll choose that image there. Now this is kind of neat. It lets you move, zoom, or rotate. So if I wanted it to be smaller, I could do it there. If I wanted it to be anywhere on one of my 3 pages that I have. But in my case, I probably want to make it bigger. So 2 fingers to zoom it in. I'll put it towards the top of the frame, right about there, and then I'll hit done. So there it is. So now I have the ability to draw underneath it. I'm going to need some thin markers here. So let's make this one black. Let's make this one another thin one, and maybe make it yellow. And this one I want to put medium, and I'll make that red. Okay, so let me think what I'm going to do for this one. All right, we're going to record. Here we go. Hi everybody, it's Mr. Z, and today we want to talk about reading the eighths on the ruler. The eighths are these marks that are in between all these little marks up here. It's probably, I should use the thinner marker. But these are our main markers for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we want to know what's in between these. And when we do that, we're looking at the little 1/8 inch marks. I'll show you in yellow here. Here's one example right here. That marker that I made in yellow, I'll write it down here, is what we call 1/8. All right. Now if I use, let's make it green, next one. Look at the one right after it. Okay, it's kind of hard for me to draw there, but imagine that second one over. That one is known as 2/8. However, if you look at 2/8, that's what we call a fraction that could be reduced. 2/8 really equals 1/4. Well, how do I know that? Half of 8 is 4. Half of 2 is 1. And if you remember your math teacher taught you about reducing fractions, you can cut things down like that and make it 1/4 instead of being 2/8. So that's where we're going to start with our lesson tomorrow. Now I can pause. If at any time I was getting like a brain burp, like what am I going to say next, or I need to look at my paper next, there is a pause button there, so you can pause and look at what you need to and then come back and resume. And when you do that, the viewer has no idea that you paused. So sometimes that's a helpful thing to pause as you go. But there is no redo. You essentially just start over again if you mess up. So that's another slight limitation of this app. Whereas other apps that I'm going to show you, like Explain Everything, will let you selectively re-record over parts instead of just over the whole thing. So it's playing now. Imagine you'd hear my voice if I was hooked up differently here. And this video now is ready to be shared. So I hit the share button in the bottom corner. Let's see if it works this time. Maybe, maybe not, because I see that little number 1 up there showing me there's something going on with the network. Well, it looks like it's trying this time. So it says, the cloud is preparing your video to share. It dates and timestamps it, which is helpful information, so you know when it was done. And so as of now, it is actually uploading it, so it's trying to do that. So that's the workflow of making a video where you grabbed an image off the web outside. Notice I had to do that outside, because one of the apps I'm showing you coming up, you can do it from within the app, which is a nice feature. And that's our way of making an annotation on top of an image. If I wanted to take a photo of something, make sure which camera are we looking at here. I want to use that camera. No, other camera. I might actually take it sideways because of orientation here. Where the heck is that lens? Oh, it's down there. This is... There we go. I just want to get a picture of some text. When you take it, it may actually be upside down, but they do let you rotate, I think. Yeah, it didn't go. All right, well, not important. I can skip that part for now. It's probably because of the way I'm connected to the projector. It's not wanting to auto-rotate the right way. But you can do that if you needed to. Take a picture of an existing document and then be drawing on top of that. So that takes us through workflow number 3, annotating an image. Let me minimize here. Okay, so workflow 4, when we come back after the break, we're going to start with another app called Educreations. Has anyone ever used Educreations? Okay. It's related to ScreenChomp in terms of what it does, but it adds some extra features on, which I'm going to demonstrate right when we come back. Okay, so let's, what time is it now? It's...
And the snow, my goodness. Were you guys affected?
Well, it was 10 minutes away from us. It was the 7 feet of snow. We only got a foot where we were, but...
I knew it was all like...
Yeah, it was very, very localized, like a direct pattern you could see right across the lake. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's a different. My parents relocated too down here to Florida like about 8 years ago, so they won't come back. Yeah. Yep.
My question was,
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I have one of my classroom, so they each have their Google accounts and everything.
Okay.
And so I moved to Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you see Edmodo as being better than Google Classroom, or should I say?
At this point, I think it is, but it may change as Google Classroom starts to add discussions and quizzes and polls and all that stuff.
See, that's one reason I liked Edmodo, because when I came here last year,
Mhm.
we got in to do the quizzes.
Yes.
And it was nice.
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, me personally, I'm not going to give up on Edmodo at this point and switch to Google Classroom. I know some teachers that haven't been using Edmodo at all, so when they see Classroom, they're like, oh, this is great. But then I say, well, if you know what Edmodo can do, you can do that plus more. And as far as sharing Google Docs, you can do it through Edmodo because you connect your Google Drive account with Edmodo. So anytime you need to turn in an assignment, you can pull it from your Google Drive. So where Classroom shines might be the distribution of I make a Google Doc and I want everyone to have an editable copy. That might be where it has capability that Edmodo doesn't. But I solve that by having my students, just like I mentioned for you guys earlier, open up one of my documents and go to File, Make a Copy. And now you all have a copy of your own to edit.
And that's how they've been trained to do it, because when I was using it, we're doing it.
Right, right. So I don't think it's a downside to use Edmodo. I think it's, I want the poll feature, I want the quiz feature, I want assignments feature. I feel like I have all that with Edmodo. I think Classroom is just starting with the assignments feature and really fine-tuning that, and then they're going to probably add on additional stuff. I mean, they almost have that with the Google Plus platform, social media. If they can find a way to massage that a little bit to meet the needs of schools, then they combine Google Plus and Google Classroom and have something really dynamic. But I don't know. That only time will tell, I guess.
Because I use Edmodo for my instruction as well.
Okay.
And I know our teachers also like it because they can build their own group and just become co-teachers.
Yep.
So now they have the ability to have their distribution of test quizzes, curricular needs, and then distribute that out to the classrooms when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
So they like that feature for it as well. So until Google brings up some of their content and makes it stronger for the educator and what they need to do behind the scenes as well. With the assignments, we like it for the middle school because the middle school kids have difficulty pacing themselves through a larger project. So by putting the assignments out, they see it tagged in their calendar and know when to turn something in.
Yeah.
So
That's what I do with my middle school kids. I take a big project and I break it down into smaller pieces. So one piece might be writing the script. Another piece might be making the intro portion. Another piece might be turning in the final project. And then another piece after that might be the evaluation piece of like write a paragraph about what you would change, things like that.
So I love Edmodo for that as well. Where the teachers struggle a little bit, where I come in and help the coach through Edmodo, is they haven't found that co-teacher piece yet. So it's all about coaching them about how to use Edmodo as their means of distribution of their content.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at Edmodo, I would definitely take a look. It's for those that just jump into it, they realize that wow, it has a lot of bells and whistles, and it's really not that complicated in the sense of the tabs are at the top, so you know what am I doing an assignment, am I doing a poll, am I doing a post, and especially for those that are familiar with Facebook, it kind of resembles that, so that it's easy to jump into. And I will be in the Edmodo booth all 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Friday, as an Edmodo certified trainer, helping people through questions they have and things like that. So if you want to learn more about that too, stop by there anytime in the exhibit hall.
Can you use the Google accounts to log into Edmodo?
Not yet. I think that's coming because I've submitted that feature request a long time ago, and they say that's at the top of their list, is doing a single sign-on.
Because I teach fourth graders, and that's one of the big complaints of their parents is
Mm-hmm. Right. As of now, they don't have that, but I have my students use the same credentials that they have anyways for their Google account, so that they do stay the same. Yeah, that does help because that's one less thing to remember then. But I'll ask that again because I think that was on the top of their priority list, is make the single sign-on with the I think it's called with the API, so that they can use one site for another. Because Edmodo was starting to allow that, so you could use your Edmodo credentials to log into other websites. They started launching that, I saw on some of the some websites, where it would say log in with your XYZ account or log in with your Edmodo account. And that's kind of reverse thinking that way then. You're using that way. All right, so everybody's back, and we are good. All right, so we're going to go back to our workflows here, looking at workflow number 4 now. This is identifying words, more specifically, nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So this is going to be an ELA demonstration I'm going to do. So here's my objective. Given a sentence, student will be able to complete a T-chart identifying the nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Also, taking it one step further, they're going to provide an image to accompany each word in the chart. All right, so I got to set the stage here with it. Let's minimize this. Bring up our iPad screen. All right, Educreations now is the one in the bottom middle here. They've changed the look of their app a little bit. This is version 2.0, which came out within the past year. Now they have a different model. The app is free, but they have a subscription-based model for $99 a year that you can do. And let's see if we can get more information about that. It's going to be upgrade to Pro. So on the Pro level account, price looks a little bit steep, but you have to consider what you're getting for it. For $99 a year, so $100 a year, now you can export your videos directly to the camera roll, which allows you to open them in other apps and use them in other video projects. For example, an iMovie project that you're working on. You can pull it in that way. They also give you more content that you can pull into your presentations, such as maps and internet web pages. You can save unlimited drafts, so that might mean you have some projects in progress. The free account lets you have one in progress, one draft, but I guess here you get unlimited drafts. You get more cloud-based storage, so 5 gigabytes of cloud storage. And then students get Pro too. So when students create accounts that are tied to the teacher, they get the Pro level features as well. So I'm kind of torn on it. I'm not sure if it's a good investment or not, unless you really need some of those features. I haven't spent the money and done that. We've used this app in the free-based version for a long time, but I guess there are some features there that might be worthwhile. I started making an example here. That's what I'm going to do today, where I have 3 columns, nouns, verbs, and adjectives. I'm going to have a sentence at the bottom, and I'm going to pull out the applicable parts and then put in a picture to go along with the words. So we got a little bit more of what we would call higher level thinking skill. We're not at the bottom of Bloom's taxonomy. We're moving up a little bit there because we're going to do more than just identifying things. We're going to have them make sense of the information as they present it. So let's set the stage here. I hit plus, and as you can see, the familiar blank white canvas to draw on. I'm going to begin by putting a sentence at the bottom, right? Let's make sure I do this right here. Sentence on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to hit plus. And notice when I hit plus, these are things I can now add. This one has a text tool that the last one did not. It also has, we saw these before, that you can use images. But the big one is the text tool. So my handwriting with my finger is not the best. So therefore, I like the ability to tap on the screen. And now I can type in a sentence, which is going to be, I'll use myself. Rob was hungry, so he ate an orange. Period. Done. Oh, I should show you too. What you can do is you can change color of that font if need be. You can also go smaller, and you can also go bigger. And I think that's for what? Indenting or? Yeah, no, it's just backwards and forwards. Okay, so that's how we do that. So there's my sentence. I want to move that sentence towards the bottom here. And in fact, I need to get a prop for this. Okay, the next piece of it is 3-column T-chart. All right, so I'm going to take my pencil tool here, draw with my finger, a T-chart, and we're going to label these as nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So color is going to matter here. I'm going to make this one a color I haven't used yet. Let's make it blue and call this one nouns. Done. And I can move that word where it needs to be. Plus, this one will make a different color, green. Done. Move it there. And add some more text right there. Color I haven't used yet would be purple, and adjectives. Done. All right, so we have our T-chart set up. And let's see, T-chart, label nouns. Okay, so we're ready to record now. So the big red record button this time is in the upper left-hand corner. Tap onto that. Hi everybody, it's Mr. Z, and today we're going to look at my sentence you see in the bottom here. Rob was hungry, so he ate an orange. Within that sentence, there are some nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So the first ones that we want to look for are the nouns. The nouns would be people, places, or things. Well, this here is a person, right? So that is Rob. So we're going to put in, and notice I just hit the plus sign. See what happened? It says recording is paused while you add content to the page. That's pretty smart. In other words, the app developer says, why should people sit through you typing or doing menial tasks that aren't important to the message? So just by me hitting plus, it instantly paused it. So I like that because now I don't have to remember to stop recording. I can just hit this. I could type in the word here. I want it to be that same color. Done. All right, so I'm ready to resume. So I'm going to hit the record button. All right, so I added the word Rob in there. And there's also more. If you look at it carefully in this sentence, people, places, or things, this thing here, orange, is also a noun. So I just hit the plus sign, it paused it. I'll go ahead and add in the other word. And I'm ready to resume recording and go. Okay, so I added my Rob and orange. Those are my nouns. But tied to that, I want to also include a picture so you can see who is Rob and what is an orange. So let's add a picture. All right, so I hit plus. It paused my recording. I am now going to use the camera feature, which is right there. And I want to use the selfie front-facing camera, like there. And I have my orange. I got to look, lens of the camera's right there. So that's a little scary, but that's okay. We'll hit use photo. Now I can shrink it down with my fingers here. I can rotate if need be. And I can put it in right there. So we just satisfied putting in the words, identifying the nouns, and giving an image to go along with it. Now I could continue on. You get the idea, right? I would do the verbs next, and I would do the adjectives next. And I do want to do it because I want to show you if I don't take a real picture. Let's continue. I did want to show one more thing here. All right, so we're all set with the nouns. Now let's move over to the verbs. The verb here would be an action word, and the word is ate. In other words, consumed or eating something. So the word ate. Change that and go A-T-E. Done. Move it there. All right, so you can see I put in the word ate. Now we need to show an image that goes along with eating something. So let's do that. So this time now I'm going to add an image, not one that I'm going to take because I don't want to eat the orange in front of you guys, but instead I'm going to go do what's equivalent to a Google image search, but I don't have to go outside of the app into Google and find it, save it to the camera roll, import it. I don't have to do all that. I can do it right within here. So when I hit the add a photo, notice at the bottom I have all these options here of where to get these photos from. The default is your camera roll, but I'm not going to do that because I don't have anything there. I'm going to go instead to search. Search takes me to a Google image search, and it says search images. I'll put in eat and see if we get someone eating something. All right, so it doesn't have to be eating an orange, I guess. We can just show the concept of eating something. And so that did a Google image search, and I didn't even have to go outside of the app to do it. So that's how easy it is to do that. You can add an image from the web and search by it that way. Now, I did see kids try to search inappropriate things. I think it is equivalent of a safe search on feature of Google image search. I'm not going to try it now in front of everybody, but if you put in some keywords there, most likely it's going to be presenting you with G-rated images. I can't guarantee that 100% of the time, but I will tell you that it seems to be the equivalent of doing a Google image search with safe search mode turned on. So I think it's filtering it through that way by using that on the back end. And so we made our project here. Let's say we're all done. I did my adjectives too, and we're ready to go. I hit the back button now because technically I'm still in draft for this project. I can either save the draft or to work on it later, or save finished video. Now you can't do that with the last app I showed you with ScreenChomp, so this is an additional bonus feature with this one. Let's say I'm going to save it as a finished video and I'm all done making it. This now is going to save it in its proprietary, meaning locked in, format, which is on the Educreations.com website. So you can't save it directly on your own website in the sense of the file itself, but you can put a link to it. It'll always link back to Educreations. If you paid the $99 a year, you could save it to the camera roll, you could put it on YouTube, but without that, using just the free version, they're going to make you save it on their servers directly. And the reason for that is they want it to potentially be have anyone in the world benefit by it. So if I make this a public video, you can see published or private, whichever one you want there. If I make it published, it will show up on educreations.com under the areas that I tag it as, subject area, subject, and grade level. So someone out there on the web could search for nouns, verbs, adjectives for ELA 7th grade and then come across my video, potentially, if you are okay with that. If not, you just make it a private link, and then that way you have to have the direct link to get to it. So I'll save us the trouble of publishing because of the Wi-Fi troubles we saw earlier, but that's basically a wizard that would take you through the steps to publish that video out. And once it's done, it would appear in your main menu here under the finished area, and you could tap onto an image. It'll play back for you. Share buttons up in the corner up there, where then you have the ability to, well, it does say save video, so I wonder. Oh, no, there you go. It's a little bit of a tease there. It says save video, and then you say, oh yeah, sure, you can do it, but pay us $99. So I guess that's how they do that. So that is the Educreations app. Again, I like some of the benefits they have, especially the text writing tools, because it makes it look a little bit more neat than handwriting with your fingertip. Any questions on that workflow? Okay. Let's see where we're headed next here. That was my number 4. Number 5 now. As we go, of course, we're getting a little bit more complex. I made these on purpose from the easier to the more difficult. The next one is using the Explain Everything app. That is the one that I mentioned is $3. But this one is available in the volume purchasing program. So if you are participating in that, if you have, I think it's more than 20 iPads or iOS devices, they give it to you for half the price. So it could be $1.50. So, but even if it's $3, you can do a lot with this app. I think it's worth spending that. We did on our 20 iPads, so we spent $60 to get it because we've found it to be a Swiss Army knife, if you will, of apps because it does so many different things. So one of the workflows that's common is presenting PowerPoint slides. So let's do that. I have a sample PowerPoint that I want to show you how to bring that in. So it is found under my folder here, and it's called Explain Everything. Here's some other good news too. This is not only an iOS app. This is now an Android app. I believe it's also for Windows tablets too, which are not as common out there. And it works on, I have it in my pocket, the iPhone. They made it so that the interface, they really had to narrow it down to make this possible, but it is possible to use the Explain Everything app on a small screen of an iPhone, which is pretty rare because most screencasting apps that we're doing here are only for iPads because you need the large surface to do it. But they now made it so that you can create a project using an iPhone, which I think is kind of neat. So I haven't used it a lot, but I can see the potential for it, especially if I wanted to draw on top of a picture and make some notations or create a video clip and be able to draw on top of the video clip. So there are some possibilities there that I haven't explored yet, but it is good that it's available across all platforms. I like it too because in our Canisius program with my grad students, not everyone has Apple devices. Some people have Android tablets, so this way they can still participate with the projects. When I say, especially in a BYOD environment, use whatever you've got for a tablet because Explain Everything will work across the board. So a little disclaimer there. All right, looks like there's a new version out, and that's what it's telling us here, so I'm going to skip the welcome guide. And this is the main menu. If we want to add, make a new project, we have 2 ways to do it. On the left-hand side here is add a blank project with a blank screen, or right next to it, I'm going to use that one now, means make a project out of something, out of a document that exists already. And let's get rid of that. We don't need that. So we'll make a project from images. Notice across the bottom all the places I can go, and there's even more down here to get your images from. So this is why it is a paid app. It has a lot of import and export capability. So I'm going to go to my, Google Drive tab, and I've made a folder. Let's see if I remember which one here. My Nightscape folder, okay. It's trying to connect to my Google Drive account, which I've already logged in before. I'm not sure if it's going to make me log in again. Let's see if I can hit done here and go back. If this is not going to work, all right, let's try plan B instead. Instead of going, oh, there it goes, now it loaded up. Okay, yep, this is my Google Drive account at school. Although you're not seeing it on your screen, I'm seeing it on my little screen down here. Let me see if I choose something, if it pops up then. I'm choosing my, let's see, which one is it here? Create a flip model. All right, so there's a bunch of documents I have, PDFs and PowerPoint. So I pulled up a slideshow here from a site that I'm just learning more about. Anybody ever hear of this one called sponsorschoose.org? You may have heard of donorschoose.org. This is kind of a play on that, where kids can post and teachers can post content on this site, and then sponsors that have money decide which ones are most popular. We're going to throw our money there and put our ads on that. So it's all about putting ads on content, I believe. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But someone right here from the state of Florida contacted me about this conference and said he's working with the company to get this going. So take a look at it, see what you think about it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how I can use it. But it is related to the flipped class because students create their own assignments and post them here. And then there's a chance that they could be getting points based on the number of hits that they're seeing there, and then sponsors will put their advertising dollars on content that's being seen that becomes popular. So I guess it's a way of the students monetize rather than Google monetizing and getting the ad revenue from it. But I still have to wrap my head around it. But in either case, it shows us the example of having a couple of slides that have been prepared, and on those slides I want to be able to, let's say, draw on top of them and make a video presentation out of my slideshow. So I will choose those slides. It'll now load it into the, come on back, there we go. It's now loading in, I think it was 4 pages, so it's going to make it the equivalent of 4 slides. So this time around, we're not looking at just one white canvas, but we're looking at slides, bottom left-hand corner. So when I tap onto slides, it shows me the order of those slides. If I need to rearrange them, say I want that one before, I can rearrange. If I tap on any image, where is it there? Let's see. We get the ability to either duplicate a slide, change the theme color on it, or delete the slide. So you can rearrange and edit those slides in terms of order. So that's your navigation. You then at the bottom have the record button. And after we record it, we can play it back, and it'll give us a nice timeline showing us the recording so that we can re-record over parts of it if we need to. Lots of bells and whistles here on the left-hand side. These are all your tools. Basically, that's your move tool, your draw tool. That one is a shapes tool. Touch and hold it and you get more options. So you have different pointers and shapes you can do. Then after that you have your text-based tool. You have your add content tool. And the add content tool lets you add in all these. It's not shown for you guys either. I see it, but you guys don't see it. Come on back. It's weird. Yeah, it must be like a bug in the app. So I'm seeing it there. It says add photo, add file, add video clip. So add music. You can add more content that way. X is your delete button. This one is a laser pointer, which comes in handy because you might not want to permanently draw on your page, but as you're talking, you might want to emphasize things. So if I want to emphasize this logo here, I could be talking about it and circling it, but I'm not actually leaving any marks on it permanently. Once I raise my finger, it's gone. You can have multiple ones too. So if I put all 4 fingers on the page, will that work? Oh, you know what? I can't because I have 3 fingers now. You can show things that way too. So it's kind of neat. There's been applications where I want to draw emphasis, but I don't want to permanently draw something because then I got to use the erase tool and erase it. So the laser tool is kind of neat. And if you touch and hold it, it'll change to not just a dot, but pointers too. So you could even use this Windows-looking pointer. So now it looks like you're using a finger from a cursor, if you will, from a traditional desktop. After that, you have your inspection tool that lets you adjust the layers of your items. So if you have many layers drawn on, you can change this in front of this or this in back of that kind of thing. You can also make them so they're straight, so they're not crooked images when you put them in. You have your undo and redo button would be next to that. Zoom command, and this means presentation mode. which is a reduced feature set so that when you're demonstrating live in front of a class, you don't have all the extra stuff showing up around the page. So as I said, a lot of bells and whistles, but once you get your feet wet and you start saying, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, then you kind of migrate into this using this tool to make your screencasts. Your color palette's in the bottom left-hand corner. Again, press and hold, and you get additional options, plus opacity even too. So think of it if you want one to be like a highlighter color where you can see through it, you can have that capability there. The export, well, let's record something just so you see how this works then. I'm going to record something about the opening slide. Okay. So I'm going to hit record down here at the bottom, and you're going to see the time code counting there when I do it. All right, welcome everybody. On the Creative Flip Class slide, we're looking at a site here called sponsorschoose.org. And on sponsorschoose.org, they have the ability to post your content from all these different content areas, so create, and then after students have posted their project so that others can see it, they can get rewards. So I guess the concept here is, why have Google benefit by taking all the ad revenue when you could have students be receiving cash essentially for projects that they make if they get a lot of views and they're high quality. So that's a first look at sponsorschoose.org. All right, now I stopped it there. That was 35 seconds worth of me talking. If I hit that time code with my finger, it then brings up a timeline of events, and as I scroll through it, you can see visually when I drew in these black marks, it's showing you the black marks there. It's just as a quick visual reference. So the circle I drew was right about there. So maybe if I want to start re-recording here, maybe I said the wrong thing here, I can start right there, hit the record button, and it says, oh, it's not working up there. It says it on my screen. Starting recording will now replace the existing recording. Do you want to continue? I'll say yes. And now I am re-recording over the footage I had before. All right, so what I just did is I re-recorded over something. So that's good if maybe the phone rings or a student comes in the room quickly and asks you a question. I've had that happen all the time. Or the bell goes off between class periods. That way you do have the ability to go in and edit any footage out. You can't really put in a silence. If you need to do that, the trick is get in a silent room and then just hit record and don't say anything. But at least it's a way for you to re-record over things so your whole thing isn't scrapped and you can just fix parts of it instead of have to start over again with your recording. Now every recording you do is tied just to that slide, so that 35 seconds is tied just to slide 1. If I go to slide 2, there's no recordings on that. So that's important to note, because if I publish this out now and turn it into a video, send it right to the camera roll, it's not going to include the slides that had no speaking on it, because the program thinks that those must not be important slides because I didn't say anything on them. So if you want to have those slides show, you need to say something on those slides. Even if it's just, here we're looking at an image of a pie chart and notice 68% of people decided this. You know, just something generic, just so that it does show up in the final video. Now this is making the final video right now. It doesn't take too long because I have not put any video clips in it. It was just me talking, some finger narrations, drawings, and that was it. So it's all done. So it's saved to the camera roll, which is nice, because as I mentioned, the other apps we looked at earlier, they don't do that. They don't save directly to the camera roll. But this one does, and so for 47 seconds, here it is right here. Let's see if it would play now. Yeah, we're not going to hear the audio, but imagine if you did hear the audio. There's the video that we made with the drawings in there. And in fact, it is including the other ones I didn't say anything on, probably because I changed that. That's a new feature you can do here. Let me show you. In the settings area on the main page here, the gear icon, a lot of people were upset that their slides were not being included because they didn't say anything on them. So I think they put in here somewhere. Where did they put that? Export maybe? Anybody's? Oh, right there. Export slides without recording. So the default is 0, but if you change it, it'll show that slide, in my case for 10 seconds, where it's silent. Nothing's being said at all, but those slides are included. So that might be important for sometimes when you got a whole slideshow and you only want to say stuff on certain slides. You might consider that feature. All right, so any questions on that workflow with the PowerPoint?
When you were editing, when you re-recorded, can you just re-record like what you drew and not change the audio, or it's...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Just the annotation piece. Not that I know of, no. It kind of has them tied together, the drawing and the... I think, or would it keep the annotation?
It just showed up as 2 separate bars, so I didn't know if you
Yeah, you know, I think it keeps the annotation, because that you can just easily erase with the red X if you needed to. I think what you're really re-recording over is the voice only, just the audio, yep. All right, so my next workflow for you guys is still using Explain Everything, but this time we're going to use the picture-in-picture feature. If you remember a little bit ago, I mentioned that I'm a big fan of having yourself included on the screencast so that people can know the face that's talking to them and teaching them something. So this app does allow you to do that using the picture-in-picture feature. So here's the workflow for this. I'm going to start with a blank canvas, just like so. And using the Add Content button, which may not show, yeah, it's not showing up for you guys, but I see it on my screen. The choice I'm looking at, it says New Video. And a new video means pull in the camera. You can use the front camera or the back camera. And for what I want to accomplish, I do need to use the front camera. So I have to position myself accordingly, so I'm in the frame. And I guess because of the angle I'm at here, it's going to look funny, but just bear with me there. And now I can record a video by having myself included there, and here's how we do that. Hi everybody, it's Mr. Z, and in this video I want to talk about solving an equation. So let's say again we go 2x plus 2 equals 10. Now remember, we have to take care of stuff that's on the left side and the right side of that equal sign. So if we need to get that x by itself, let's start with the math first. Subtract our 2, subtract our 2. And we're left with, let's see, I gotta use 2 fingers here. I can move that up a little bit so I have some room here. We have 2x equals 8. Divide that by 2, divide that by 2, and our x equals 4. All right, so there's how we can draw on the screen and have ourselves on the screen all at the same time. Now, that is 45 seconds worth. Watch what happens when I publish this out. You're going to see, I'm going to send it to, my first option does on my screen. It says movie to camera roll. It's going to take a lot more time than that last one did, and it's going to look like it's going in extreme slow motion. The reason why is this image up here is video, and video is, anybody know how many frames per second video is? How many pictures per second? Yep, it's 29.97 technically, so they round that and they say 30. So 30 frames per second, which means 30 photographs per second of footage. I did 45 seconds worth. So take 45 times 30, and you get a really big number. That's like equivalent of taking hundreds of pictures. So that's why this goes extremely slow, and it's going to tell you the time left. It is based on the speed of your device. This is an iPad mini 2nd generation, so it's not the newest one. So it's not too bad, but I know some schools like mine have the older iPads that are going to take a little bit more time. There is the option, if you really get into this and this is your thing, using Explain Everything, you can buy an app for your Mac, your desktop or laptop, that will then let you use the horsepower of the laptop to do the work, to do the compressing, instead of having the iPad do it. It's called, in fact, if I go next here, I bet you, there it is, the Explain Everything compressor, available on the Mac App Store, allows you to compress multiple at the same time, so it frees up your iPad, because right now I can't use this iPad. I gotta let it do its thing until it's done processing, and that could take some time. And I only made a 45-second video, so see, we're still waiting on it that way. So this is where teachers will go and go get a cup of coffee or go to bed for the night and let this run all night. It has to be part of your planning that if you're going to use Explain Everything and use the camera feature, just realize it's going to take a lot of time to process. It takes time to render that out. I wish it didn't, but it's dependent upon the hardware to chew through all that information. So I'm not even going to wait through. I'm just going to cancel it out because I think you guys see the idea behind that. And wake up our iPad again here. Let's minimize that and go back to our outline. Okay, so that was our workflow number 6. So I meant to pull in a PDF document, but I wrote by hand. But same idea, that you could pull up a PDF document as well as a PowerPoint slide. Workflow 7 now is how to use the live web browser feature. This is neat because if you have your iPad and you want to record stuff coming off a web page, and you want to have an interactive web page, not just screenshots of a web page, but actually go through the navigation of something, you can do that with the Explain Everything app. So let's say the objective for this one is going to be, I want to show people how to use my blog to sign up to receive email alerts. That involves a lot of steps that you want to, it'd be hard for me to replicate this if I just took screenshot after screenshot after screenshot and tried to explain it. This way I can visually show the process in a more fluid method. So let's go back to explain everything. And go back home. Okay, so I'm going to get a new canvas again, blank project. And when I hit my add content button, which is over here, one of my options that'll pop up is a new browser. And it's catching up. There it is. So this is a web browser that we're looking at. Whenever it's light blue highlighted, that means it's an active browser. So I can type in and use it. If I wanted to dock it though, I believe it's triple tap. All right, so now it's movable on the page. It probably doesn't make sense because I don't have a web page in there, but triple tap it and it comes back to life, I believe, right? There's a double tap. There it is, double tap. So I'll go to robztraining.com. So it's going to load it up using this. It's essentially Safari inside of an app from the way how they wrote the app. And as long as our Wi-Fi is not going to give up on us here, it looks like it's trying to load it. There it is. All right, so we can navigate through using scrolls and stuff like that. So I'm going to click on the outside of it so I can reposition it a little bit. And let's make this even more interactive. Let's add in the video. The selfie video, put that small, put it up here in the corner. Okay, I'll move myself. And I'm going to use the laser pointer tool. I'll use a red arrow this time. So let's see if that works. Yep, that'll work there. Okay, here we go with our recording. Hi everybody, it's Rob Z, and I'm here on my robztraining.com website. I want to show you a little trick about signing up to receive an email, because what's handy here is I post stuff all the time, and it's hard to remember to go back and check it out. So a lot of the blogs I maintain, I find it's easiest to recommend to people to use the subscribe by email feature. So I am going to activate this web page here, and you'll see I can type in up in the corner my email address. So let's say I put in my email address as follows, and then go and submit. And it's going to bring you to this page here. It's a feed burner page that says you have to type in that special little code that you're seeing right here. And that code is to make sure that you're an actual human being doing this and not just a spam bot or a computer doing it. So you'll type that information in down here in the box that you see. And when you're done, you'll hit this button that says Complete Subscription Request. At that point, you receive an email to make sure that it actually is your email account where you activate that request. So that's the procedure on how to subscribe to the blog. All right, so that video is 1 minute and 11 seconds long. You saw I was able to have live browser, have me up top there, had arrows drawing with the red marker and all that kind of stuff. So you can really combine a lot of different elements when you do a live web browser demonstration. Students like that too, because I tell them, you know, make me a little screencast using only the iPad, show me your favorite website, and explain why it's your favorite website. So they can use this tool to do that. Publishing it out though, I'll just show you how it's going to tell me a lot of time probably, because I had a lot of motion there. Well, not too bad, I guess, 5 minutes if we wanted to wait it out. So sometimes those numbers are like an hour or two if you make like a 20-minute long screencast. So things to be aware of. All right, so that is that workflow. Any questions on that? Moving on down the road, we have the last one here now, which is our telestration example. All right, for this one, I meant to get some video footage of my children doing a jumping jack because I wanted to analyze something in slow motion. So since I don't have that, I have to make that footage. Would someone be willing to do jumping jacks? Or do I have to be that person? How about do a push-up? Anybody want to do a push-up? No? Okay. All right, do a push-up for us? All right. This is the interactive part. Just push the area up. I'm going to switch to my back-facing camera. I'll tell you when. Hang on a second here. This is down there. Let me get far back enough.
Don't put this on YouTube.
It won't go on YouTube. Oh, all right, go for it. So he's going to do it. It's a regular speed, and go one more time, and perfect. That's good. Thank you. So now I'm going to show you how we take that and make what I call a telestration project out of that. did unplug that, so let's see if that'll come back for us. All right, we have QuickTime. Take us back to the iPad. Let's restart it then. QuickTime Player, File, New Movie, and choose the iPad. It came back before for us. I'm hoping it comes back again. Come on. Let me unplug from here and unplug from there. The usual solution when stuff like this happens is to reboot. But if I reboot, I lose my recording that's going right now for the past 2 hours, and I don't want to reboot. So I'm trying to avoid that. New movie recording. And allow me to choose not the FaceTime camera, but the iPad. There it is. All right, good. Okay, so this app that we're going to use is called Coach's Eye. Has anybody ever heard of Coach's Eye? All right, the good news on this one, it is again cross-platform, so it works on iOS, on Android, and on Windows tablets too, I believe. So all 3 platforms. So the Coach's Eye app. This one came about for analyzing things in slow motion. So it really does have a background when it comes to phys ed, health class kind of thing. But I like the fact that you can analyze anything, even how to light the Bunsen burner in chemistry class. And you name it, if it can be done in shot and video format, you can explain something with it. So it's a type of a screencast, we would call it. I hit the plus button up in the upper corner, go to the camera roll, and choose the content that we're going to use, and then import. And it puts it on the timeline. So now we are going to analyze that footage. So the play button's right there. And it brings it onto the playback screen. The bottom is a scrub wheel. So with your finger now, you can go forwards and backwards. So forwards, backwards, like that. You can use your fingers to pinch and zoom. So maybe we look at the elbow in particular. And you can see when he's down, the elbow is parallel to the ground. Where's my tools here? All right, so my tools here. So the elbow is here, and it's going down like that. And then when he comes back up again, where's my erase is, let's see, clear right there. When he comes up, it's straight up and down like that. Now the tools are here again. If you touch and hold, you get to pick another color. Yeah? Yeah? So I've been doing it just without recording, but now let's take it to one level further, use the record feature, and make a video out of it. Now there's 3 things that I want my students always to do, and that is called, let me think again, narrate, so you got your voice talking us through it, zooming, so I want to zoom in and pan around and show a specific part, highlight a specific part of the video. So zooming, narrating, and annotation, drawing on the screen. Got to have all 3. So I had my students do it. Someone did correctly do a push-up video too. So let's see, we'll go like this. Hi everybody, it's Rob Z, and today we're going to show you how to properly do a push-up. I want you to notice something here. When he's all the way in the up and down position, look at the position of the arms as I zoom in. You can see, as I draw with a line here, perfectly up and down. All right. However, when we go forward a little bit, and you're down towards the ground, you want to have those elbows never be above the back. So notice his elbow is below the plane of where his back is here. My line here. So if this is the plane here where his back is, that's actually below it. The elbows are below it. Ooh, there's an arrow tool here too. So below. All right, so let's clear that and show you now when he comes back on the upswing, elbows go in all the way to the point where you're straight up and down. So that's my annotation for today on how to properly do a push-up. All right, so we annotated, we zoomed, and we narrated. Had all 3 pieces of the puzzle. When we hit preview, it has to do a render because it has to combine together the zooming and panning, the drawing, the voice narration, all that has to come together. So it does take a little bit of time to analyze it. And when you're done, you can drop it directly on the camera roll, which is my preference, because then from there you can put it wherever it needs to go. Or you can use their built-in sharing features, which you can actually buy a subscription and use their hosting service, which is kind of convenient. If you're a phys ed person and you're using this tool a lot, that might be great then to share out videos to parents or to students and have them watch and analyze their own videos too. You can even do a So it's all done. It's showing you the finished product here. But you can even do this, and this might be, let's see, this might make more sense if I use the sample footage that's in here. I like the side-by-side feature. We call it the compare feature. So if I add that one and this one, and now I can independently look at each one, the left side or the right side. I can even lock them in. It's kind of choppy here how it's going. Maybe it's not the best example. But you can have two side-by-side playing. So when you hit play, you're technically going to see, well, if they're different lengths, that's why. But you could have a side-by-side showing a before and an after. And same idea, draw on it, pan and zoom. So you can make this is good for making screencasts out of non-screen content, out of real-world content that you've shot video footage of. So they did add that side-by-side feature not too long ago. And there are a whole bunch of extras that you can purchase to go along with it. VIP access, I think, is $10 a month, and they give you a lot more bells and whistles. But the basic concept, as you saw, as we did, was a great way for kids to make videos of explaining things in slow motion. I think I do have some examples to show here from my classes, which would be the telestration example. Let's see, we have how to do a sit-up from one of my students here. See if this one plays.
Hey guys, Harrison here, and Howard is going to show you how to do a sit-up. He's going to get his feet up on the desk, and his arms extend straight to his knees. And now he's going to do it again, show you exactly how to do it. His arms extend straight to his knees. That's how you do a sit-up. Just watching.
So it's amazing for someone to watch something that they figure, oh yeah, I'm doing it right, like I'm shooting the ball right in basketball, but then if they watch the video, they're like, oh, I didn't realize that I could have done it this way instead of that way. So it's really good for self-analysis. I've had coaches and phys ed teachers do this where they have a rotating group of 4. I guess the first kid shoots the basket, the next kid behind is the one shooting the footage, and then when the kid's done with the basket, they go sit down, they give them that iPad, they analyze their footage. So you got to have, in the mix of 4 people, I think you had to have 2 iPads. That's the way they did it. So they did like a rotating thing. And within like a 20-minute class period, they were able to analyze something that they thought they were doing correctly, but upon looking at self-analysis, oh, maybe it's not right. Or I didn't realize that my elbows were bent that way. So that could, not just for a phys ed example, but maybe that could be done for science experiments or anything at all that involves movement or motion, projects like that. So I like to throw that one in there just to show people that screencasting doesn't always have to be stuff that's on the screen. It could mean that you're using the screen to draw and narrate over some live video footage. So now you have more options than just stuff on a computer screen. All right, so now we'll talk a little bit more about, traditional platforms. I kind of call it the old-fashioned world of screencasting, which does not involve a tablet whatsoever. I still do that, especially if it's showing like how to use Google Drive or something like that. So I want to do a demonstration so you're familiar with that piece of it as well. Screencasting on traditional platforms, Windows, Mac, Chromebook. The 3 I recommend, talking about good, better, best, would be Jing, which is free. Limit those 5 minutes, so you can't go over 5 minutes when you're recording with it. And I don't really like it so much because it records in a shockwave flash format, which is not a very friendly format across all devices. And it sounds, to me, the audio sounds more like cassette tape quality instead of CD quality, or like FM radio quality. It's not really crisp and clean. I've become very adept to that, especially working with microphones like this one here that I'm recording with, where I can hear a difference. And I don't know about you, but if I start playing a video and I hear it sounds kind of like cruddy, I'm like, oh, I don't want to like listen to this. It's like, it just takes away from the experience. So Jing is good and people still use it. It's one of those free tools just to get your feet wet into the world of screencasting on traditional devices. Has anyone ever used it? Because I used to show this one all the time, many over 5 years ago, I think, more so at FETC. Snagit is the one I recommend. That's the better level. It's only $23 with the coupon discount, the coupon codes that I gave you guys with that code. It's normally $29 a copy. And if you buy multiple copies, it can get down to like 10 to 15 bucks each. So it's really reasonable when it comes to school budgets to buy software that it's a permanent purchase. It's not an annual thing. It's you buy it and you got it forever. I use that one, which I'll use in a moment here to record something. And Camtasia Studio for Windows or Camtasia for Mac, those are the big brother programs to Snagit because it involves a timeline, and you can chop up that timeline, you can add annotations, you can add zooms and things like that. I will be giving away copies of that. TechSmith has given me for door prizes too in a few minutes here. Snagit for Chrome, I referenced that in the beginning. You can add it as an extension and application, and the links there will take you right to it if you're interested in installing it on your Chrome browser. And then a new district-wide solution, TechSmith Relay, came out about a year ago. I learned about it last year at FETC. That's so that all of your teachers and students can record screencasts. And rather than buying licenses, the traditional model for software, you're buying accounts so that Rob Z, the teacher, can use it on Rob Z's home computer and school computer and mobile devices. Students can go home and install it on their computers and use it. So in other words, install the software wherever you want, but you'll activate that software by logging into it. So it's a different concept, and TechSmith is not here this year in the exhibit hall. I wish they were, so you could learn more about it. But the video I have, there's a 2-minute demo video. If you're interested, if that intrigues you, you can look at it. It's an annual subscription thing, and it's good for those districts that have gone, where a lot of teachers are starting to flip. It takes away the technical side of making screencasts, because you get the big red button, you record that, and then you don't have to worry about where that file's going. It just goes to where it has to go, and then you have access in your account to all of your videos. So what they've done is they've eliminated the multiple steps to making videos and deciding where to store them. Some teachers call it DVRing your class. You just hit the big red record button, and then TechSmith Relay, when you hit stop, will email you the link to the video. So it's intriguing to me, but I haven't played a whole lot with it. So let's make a screencast now of, let's say somebody in this room does not speak English, and you speak a different language, and you're looking at this document, and you want to know what are these words that are listed in this document because maybe you don't speak English really well. Did you know that Google Docs has a feature where you can change the languages? Anybody know about that? Okay, some people do. I'm going to show you that now. Let's say that's the objective of my screencast, is to teach someone how that works. So I'm going to hit the red record button here. And I don't need to record the whole screen, but I'll just record this portion of it. So I'm using Snagit, by the way. That's what this is. Setting up my Snagit capture area.
Hey guys,
and
Harrison
I
here.
can take either a photograph of the screen or a video clip.
What I want to do is the video clip. His feet go under the desk,
make a video of
and his arms extend straight to his knees.
Use my built-in microphone. You can see as I'm talking, it's
he's going to do it again. Show you
voice.
exactly how to do it. Those arms extend straight to his knees.
Countdown.
That's how you do a sit-up. Watching.
And hello everybody, it's Rob Z, and I want to take a moment here today to show you how to change the language on a Google Doc. So what you're seeing here is my Google Doc for a workshop that I taught. We can go to Tools, and then we look for, there it is right there, Translate Document. And Google now has a lot of languages you can translate to. Let's pick one that I haven't done before. Let's say Icelandic. I've never tried that one. Let's translate it to that. And what Google is doing now is making a copy of your original document, so no worries about losing your original work. They just make a copy, and it'll actually be called Translated Copy of your document's name. So this is in Icelandic language. Does anybody out there speak Icelandic? No? Okay. So if we did, we'd be able to verify that and see if that actually makes sense. I would be willing to bet it's not 100% accurate, because when I translated it to French and Spanish, which are other languages that I have some familiarity with, we noticed some things were off, but I'll tell you, it's definitely better than nothing. And I had an ELA, English as a second language student in my class last year. This year I have a couple of them. So sometimes I will see them translate to Russian or to French or whatever the case is for themselves, and that at least gives them a little bit of a heads up on what we're doing in between working with the ESL teacher and myself. So that's the procedure on how you change that, and I thank you for watching. All right, I was looking for that stop button at the end. Sometimes it's at the top and sometimes it's at the bottom. So now that I hit stop, it's going to open up inside of Snagit. I can hit play. And hello everybody, it's Rob Z, and I want to take a moment here today to show you how to... Oh, I forgot to do my fake sneeze. Let's pretend that I sneezed or coughed somewhere in here. Let's say like right here. So no worries about losing it. So let's pretend that was there. What I can do is, using this little nifty tool, I can cut out an area and hit cut, and now I just seamed together, let's say there was a cough there. So it's very basic. So it sounds weird there, but I just cut out a piece of it. And same thing again, if it happened down here, I would just take from there, chop that part out. So I do now have some editing features within Snagit. That's wasn't always the case. Before you'd have to spend the big money and go to Camtasia for that. So I do use this as my day-to-day on my laptop screencasting tool to make quick little screencasts like that, and then I share them out to the web, usually through Google Drive or through screencast.com. But I could also use YouTube, and you could install other places that it could go to. So I'm a fan of Snagit when it comes to the desktop, but I also do use Camtasia for lengthier projects like I'm doing now. For the past 2 hours and 13 minutes that I've been recording what we've been doing, it's just running in the background. So I'll use Camtasia to put together what my posting of this workshop. And hello everybody, it's Rob Z, and I want to take a moment here today to show you how to so no worries about losing your that.
And what Google is doing now is making a copy of your original, make a copy, and it'll actually be called